The wind came first. It always did in Sundown. It rolled low across the desert like a warning whispered by something older than memory, carrying dust that stung the eyes and settled into the bones. Folks in Sundown said the wind remembered everything, every lie, every gunshot, every promise made and broken beneath the dying sun. That evening, it carried the weight of something worse. It carried the sound of a man returning. Elias Crow rode into Sundown just as the sky bled orange and gold across the horizon. His coat, once black, had faded into a weary gray, and the brim of his hat cast a shadow over eyes that hadn't known peace in years. A rifle hung loosely across his back, but it wasn't the weapon people noticed. It was the way he rode. Slow, certain, like a man who had already decided how the night would end. The townsfolk saw him before he reached the main street. Curtains shifted. Doors creaked half-closed. A child's laughter died mid-breath. Sundown had always been a town that listened to silence, and now silence was screaming. Someone muttered his name, Elias Crow, and like a ghost dragged from a shallow grave, his past rode in with him. 5 years earlier, Elias had left Sundown with blood on his hands and a promise on his lips. He had stood in front of the church, the whole town gathered, and sworn he would return. Sworn he would make things right. Sworn he would come back for her. Clara Whitfield. She had stood there, her hands trembling, her eyes filled with a kind of hope that only fools or lovers could carry. She had believed him. That was the problem. Elias dismounted in front of the rusted spur saloon. The sign creaked overhead, the same tired sound he remembered. Nothing had changed, except everything had. He tied his horse to the post and paused, his hand resting on the saddle. For a moment, the weight of 5 years pressed down on him. 5 years of running, 5 years of killing, 5 years of trying, and failing, to outrun the man he had become. Then he pushed the door open. The saloon fell quiet the second he stepped inside. Cards stopped mid-game. Glasses froze halfway to lips. Even the piano player let his fingers hover above the keys, uncertain whether to play or pray. Elias walked to the bar like he belonged there. "Whiskey," he said. The bartender didn't move. "You heard me," Elias added, his voice calm but edged with something dangerous. The man swallowed hard and reached for a bottle. We thought you were dead." Elias took the glass, downed it in one motion, and set it back with a soft clink. "A lot of people thought that." A voice came from the corner. "Shame they were wrong." Elias didn't turn right away. He knew that voice, had heard it in nightmares and memories alike. He turned slowly. Marcus Hale sat at a table, boots up, a smirk tugging at his lips. His coat was cleaner, his beard trimmed, but the man underneath hadn't changed. He still had the same cold eyes, the same hunger for power, the same reason Elias had left town in the first place. "Well," Marcus said, rising to his feet, "look what the wind dragged back." The room held its breath. Elias stepped closer, his boots echoing against the wooden floor. "You're still here," Elias said. Marcus chuckled. "Someone had to take care of things after you ran off." "I didn't run. Didn't you?" Marcus tilted his head. "Left a mess behind. Left her behind." The words hit harder than any bullet. Elias's jaw tightened. "Where is she?" Marcus smiled, slow and cruel. "Funny. That's the first thing you ask. Where is she?" "She's alive," Marcus said. "If that's what you're worried about." Elias felt something inside him loosen and tighten all at once. "I made her a promise," he said quietly. Marcus leaned in, his voice dropping. "Yeah, you did." Clara Whitfield stood at the edge of town, watching the sun dip below the horizon. She had felt it before she heard it. The wind had changed. There was a time when she would have run toward the sound of a returning rider, hope burning bright in her chest. But hope had a way of dying slow, painful deaths in places like Sundown. Now, she just stood there, her hands folded, her expression unreadable. 5 years. 5 years since Elias Crow had ridden away. 5 years since she had believed him. A boy came running up the hill, breathless. "Miss Clara, he's back." Her heart stopped, just for a second. Then it started again, slower this time. Heavier. "Who?" she asked, though she already knew. "Elias Crow." The name hung in the air like a gunshot. Clara closed her eyes. Of course he was. Back in the saloon, the tension was ready to snap. You don't get to walk back in here like nothing happened, Marcus said. Elias met his gaze. I didn't come back for nothing. Then why are you here? Elias hesitated. For a moment, the truth sat on his tongue like poison. I came to finish it, he said. Marcus's smile faded just a little. Finish what? What I started. The memory came back sharp and sudden. A younger Elias, a younger Marcus, and a man lying dead in the dirt between them. Sheriff Whitfield, Clara's father. You killed him, Marcus said, though his voice carried a hint of something else now. Elias shook his head. No, you did. The room shifted. Some of the men exchanged glances. Marcus laughed, but it sounded forced. Careful, Crow. Accusations like that can get a man killed. They already did, Elias said quietly. Silence fell. 5 years ago, Elias continued, you shot him. I saw it. You saw what you wanted to see. I saw you pull the trigger. Marcus's hand drifted closer to his gun. And yet you ran. I made a deal, Elias said. That got Marcus's attention. What kind of deal? Elias looked around the room, then back at Marcus. The kind that kept Clara alive. Clara walked into town just as the first lanterns flickered to life. The air felt different, charged, like a storm waiting to break. She knew where to go. The rusted spur, of course. Her steps were steady, but her heart was anything but. 5 years of anger, 5 years of pain, 5 years of questions with no answers. And now he was back. She pushed the door open. Every head turned. Elias felt it before he saw her. That same pull, that same ache. He turned, and there she was, Clara Whitfield, older, stronger. But those eyes, those same eyes that had once looked at him like he was something worth believing in. Now they looked at him like he was a stranger. Or worse. Clara, he said. Her voice was cold. Don't. The word cut deeper than any blade. You don't get to say my name, she continued. Not after what you did. Elias swallowed hard. I didn't kill your father. She laughed, bitter and sharp. That's what you said before you disappeared. I had to leave. You had to leave. She stepped closer, her anger rising. You promised me you'd stay. You promised me you'd make things right. I am making things right. 5 years too late. Marcus watched the exchange with interest. Seems like you've got some explaining to do, he said. Elias didn't take his eyes off Clara. I made a deal with him. Clara froze. What? Marcus's smile returned, thin and dangerous. Careful, Crow. You were going to kill her, Elias said. If I stayed, if I told the truth. The room went still. Clara's breath caught. What is he talking about? Marcus shrugged. He's desperate. Making things up. Elias stepped forward. You said if I left, if I took the blame, you'd let her live. Clara looked between them, confusion and fear twisting together. Is that true? She asked Marcus. He didn't answer. That was answer enough. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows. Elias reached for his gun, but not to draw it. He set it on the bar. I'm not here to run anymore, he said. I'm here to end it. Marcus's eyes narrowed. You think you can just walk back in and take everything from me? I'm not taking anything, Elias said. I'm giving it back, by killing me, if that's what it takes. Clara stepped between them. No, she said. Both men looked at her. You don't get to decide this, she continued. Not either of you. Her gaze locked on Elias. You left me with a lie. Then she turned to Marcus. And you built your life on one. The room felt like it was holding its breath again. So here's how it's going to be, Clara said. No more running. No more hiding. She stepped back. Settle it. The sun had fully set now. Only the last traces of red clung to the horizon. Sundown. The hour the town was named for. The hour when things ended. They stepped outside. The whole town followed. Elias and Marcus stood facing each other in the dusty street, the wind swirling between them like a living thing. Clara stood off to the side, her hands clenched, her heart pounding. Last chance, Marcus said. Walk away. Elias shook his head. Not this time. Marcus sighed. Shame. The world narrowed. 2 men, 2 guns, 1 truth. The wind died. For a single, perfect moment, everything was still. Then, gunshots split the air. When the dust settled, 1 man was standing. The other lay in the dirt. Clara ran forward, her breath caught in her throat. Elias stood there, his chest rising and falling, his gun still in his hand. Marcus Hale lay at his feet, a dark stain spreading across his shirt. His eyes stared up at the sky, empty. It was over. Elias dropped the gun. The weight of it all seemed to leave him at once. 5 years. 5 years of running, of guilt, of promises broken. He looked at Clara. "I'm sorry," he said. She stood there, silent. "I never meant to leave you," he continued. I thought I was protecting you." Clara's eyes filled with tears, but her voice was steady. "You should have trusted me with the truth." Elias nodded. "I know." The wind returned, softer now, carrying something new, not just dust, something like peace. Clara took a step closer. Then another. She stopped just in front of him. "I don't know if I can forgive you," she said. Elias lowered his gaze. "I understand, but I know this," she continued. "You came back." He looked up. "And you stayed." For the first time in years, Elias Crow felt something he thought he'd lost forever. Hope. Sundown had seen its share of blood and broken promises. But that night, as the wind carried the last echoes of gunfire into the desert, it also carried something else. A promise kept, even if it had taken 5 long years to keep it.